You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic.
Ryan Poles met with the media this morning at the NFL Scouting Combine, and as expected, no big decision has been made on Justin Fields or the number 1 overall pick. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Ryan Poles met with the media this morning at the NFL Scouting Combine to discuss many intriguing topics surrounding the Chicago Bears. Let's go ahead and dive in and give you my initial reaction to what Ryan Poles had to say during his press conference. First things first, Bears fans, Ryan Poles brought up Jaylen Johnson and the contract negotiations with Jaylen Johnson, and he is motivated to get a deal done with Jaylen Johnson and would prefer not to use the franchise tag. To me, I really hope they do get a long-term deal done with Jaylen Johnson. I've talked about Jaylen Johnson many times on the podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. Jaylen Johnson is a building block for this rebuild that Ryan Poles has going on in Chicago. He's the leader of the defense, the leader of the Chicago Bears. Jaylen Johnson definitely deserves the money coming his way, and he should definitely be a Chicago Bear for the unseeable future. Ryan Poles sounded very confident that a deal is getting close, and they're still working towards it, but it seems like he's really confident that Jaylen Johnson and the Chicago Bears will get a long-term deal done and will hopefully avoid the franchise tag. But he did bring up that if in case they did need to use the franchise tag, they definitely would if they're not able to get a long-term deal done with Jaylen Johnson. But at the end of the day, I think a deal will get done with JJ. Bears fans, Ryan Poles, of course, also talked about Justin Fields and the number 1 overall pick. Obviously, the Chicago media and media in general were eager to ask Ryan Poles questions about Justin Fields and the number 1 overall pick. And obviously, it was really, really funny because Ryan Poles did start off that question by having a huge grin and then stating, no, we do not have a master plan yet on the number 1 overall pick or on Justin Fields. We have yet to make any decision. He did state that the Bears still have 100 different scenarios, but would love to have a resolution soon on that regard. The thing I loved about the press conference with Ryan Poles that he stayed right in the middle. He didn't lean too much on the number 1 overall pick, and he also didn't lean too much into quarterback Justin Fields. He talked about both scenarios. He's had teams reach out to him about the number 1 overall pick. Nothing major, but just teams checking in on the temperature of what they want to do moving forward in regard to a number 1 overall pick. He did add if they do go down that route of trading quarterback Justin Fields, that he would want to do right by Justin Fields. He has been transparent. Obviously, he's keeping quarterback Justin Fields in the loop, just making sure that communication is staying open with Justin Fields and his camp, just in case if they do in fact fall in love with one of the quarterbacks, maybe Caleb Williams, maybe Jaden Daniels, and they do want to draft a quarterback with the number 1 overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft. He is making sure that he is keeping that relationship and keeping that communication open with Justin Fields, just to make sure Justin Fields remains in the loop. And I absolutely love that by Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears. He also added at the end of this, Bears fans, that his phone has been blowing up ever since he touched down in Indianapolis for the NFL Scouting Combine. So obviously over the next couple of weeks, teams will be reaching out to the Chicago Bears in regard to a number 1 overall pick and in regard to quarterback Justin Fields. Obviously, Ryan Poles is the main man at the NFL Scouting Combine. So obviously he's going to be a very busy man, and his phone is going to continue to blow up this week at the NFL Scouting Combine. Overall, Bears fans, no big conversation or decision has taken place on what direction Ryan Poles and Chicago Bears will go in. And personally, I would imagine that during these next couple of weeks, especially this week at the NFL Scouting Combine, that Ryan Poles and Chicago Bears will interview a couple of the quarterback prospects, interview the players in general, and then begin to have those conversations with themselves before they make any direction or any decision on what they want to do in regard to the number 1 overall pick or in regard to quarterback Justin Fields. So this is still a work in progress. And once again, no decision has been made. So everything that you hear from these NFL insiders, from these random articles, are false at this point until Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears personally come out and say, hey, we are going to keep the number 1 overall pick and trade Justin Fields or vice versa, nothing is set in stone quite yet. Ryan Poles did make it very clear, Bears fans, in his press conference this morning at the NFL Scouting Combine that he would love to make a decision as soon as possible. And he did also mention that he would love to have a decision made on the number 1 overall pick or quarterback Justin Fields by free agency March 13th, which is the start of the new league year, which I feel like is the perfect deadline. I know I talked a little bit about that on a couple episodes ago right here on Geek on the Mic about March 13th should be the deadline for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears to make a final decision on the quarterback situation going on with the Chicago Bears, on the number 1 overall pick, and on quarterback Justin Fields. I think that is the perfect deadline before the March 13th, the start of the new league year. But once again, Bears fans, Ryan Poles once again did a very good job of keeping this whole situation very tight-lipped within the organization and staying right in the middle, not leaning too much on the number 1 overall pick and not leaning too much into quarterback Justin Fields. He did talk about both situations, but didn't go into deep detail about either side, right? So I absolutely love it. You're keeping your cards close because at the end of the day, whichever direction you go in, you want to make sure you're getting the max amount of value that will actually help your football team, not only now, but in the future as well. But overall, Bears fans, I am really excited for Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears to finally, hopefully, make a decision here pretty soon. But I know whatever decision Ryan Poles decides to make will help the Chicago Bears in the long term. But overall, before I let you guys go, let me ask you guys this. What is your initial reaction to Ryan Poles' press conference this morning at the NFL Scouting Combine? Let me know down below in the comment section. But as always, make sure you continue to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Geek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for our all-new Bears podcast right here on Geek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You've been listening to Geek on the Mic, a podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Thanks, guys, and bear down.